Good morning, Sri Lanka. What a way to start the early AM with my pretty face. I'm your host, Jason. Today we're focusing on water. Since World Water Day was celebrated 2 days ago, we thought, hey, what's the best way to let the public know that water is really important for our communities, for our world? So what better way to start off the show than inviting our next guest, who is Ms. Tanuja Aryananda. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Who is the director of the Lanka Rainwater Harvesting Forum.
Good morning.
Welcome to Good Morning Sri Lanka, and of course Dr. C.S. Veeraratna, who is a board member of the Lanka Rainwater Harvesting Forum. Good morning to you as well.
Good morning.
All right, now let's get down to business, Tanuja. Now I've been rainwater harvesting is what you do there at your forum. So how does this work exactly? What is rainwater harvesting?
Rainwater harvesting means collecting rainfall where it falls and using it in the place where it falls.
Right.
We are promoting the concept of rainwater harvesting for domestic and small-scale agriculture use.
Right.
Although Sri Lanka is rich with a lot of rain, there are places where there is water is scarce or has problems with water quality, etc.
Right.
We are promoting the use of the rain, especially in those places as well as in other places where water is not properly being conserved.
So there's not much water in certain areas in Sri Lanka. How do you collect the water? How does it work? Does it work with reservoirs or?
Yeah, well, there are different ways you can collect. One is the water that falls on your own roof in your own house.
Wait, you collect the water out of the roof?
Out of the roof.
Wow, that's
interesting. Through what falls on the roof is collected into a vessel through the gutter system. So you can collect it at your own house itself.
Right.
Or you can store it in the ground itself. That is called groundwater recharging.
Right. How does that work? So it comes down from your roof and then it stores.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, either you from the roof or the what is running off your ground.
Okay.
You direct it to the groundwater table.
Right.
So either by sort of arresting water at different places, or you have a well-like structure which goes to the groundwater table and artificially recharging the groundwater table.
Right. Now the point of collecting the water, I'm guessing, is obviously for your basic needs of drinking and even showering, I'm guessing. But how does I'm guessing the water is not clean because it falls on your roof and then it goes into this little container just under your house. So how does the water get clean after that?
Well, rainwater is very clean. It's pristine quality water. Okay. But the way how you collect it, it can get contaminated. Right. As you mentioned, in the roof, if the roof is not clean, then whatever is in the roof can get collected into the rainwater. So what we do is we don't use the first washing from the roof. So what we have what is called a first flush system, where we discard the first washing from the roof, and we take it out in a different way, and we collect the balance. Even then we can also use different type of filters before it gets into our storage tank to erase some leaves and things or any contamination from the roof getting into the tank.
And then it's all good to drink.
It can be very good to drink as well.
So the next time that I'm thirsty for water, since Sri Lanka has been raining the past few days, I'll just stick my hand in the rain, get some water with a cup.
Sure. Best quality water you can get.
Brilliant. All right. So what is the vision of the Lanka Rainwater Harvesting Forum? Exactly.
Well, our main mission is to promote rainwater harvesting as a domestic water supply system in Sri Lanka, especially in water scarce areas. So that's why we've been working in very dry zone areas, and also after the tsunami we've been working in tsunami affected areas because the wells had gone saline. So we introduced rainwater harvesting in those places as well. Now we are working in the north, in Vavuniya, where we are promoting for domestic use. So we are constructing for the resettling communities some rainwater harvesting systems.
Doctor, getting into you, you are a board member of this forum, if I'm correct. Now, from your perspective, how would you see rainwater being a good thing to the Sri Lankan communities, or like really getting into rainwater harvesting here in Sri Lanka?
Yes, rainwater, as Tanuja said, is a contributory factor for collecting water.
Right.
Now, as you know, we have the average rainfall in Sri Lanka is about 1,800 millimeters.
Right.
So
1,800?
Yes, that's millimeters. That's millimeters.
Okay, right, that's not a lot.
Then that is not.
That's right. When we consider the rainfall in other countries, there are some countries which get about 300-400 millimeters.
Okay.
So when you compare with that, our rainfall is fairly high.
Okay.
But the thing is, some parts of the country does not get enough water, and also it is you don't get that amount of water throughout the year.
Oh.
You see, some months are dry. For example, February, March are dry months. Then again, September, August, September are dry months.
Yeah, we have our monsoon season.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So during the monsoons we get rain, but then during the other periods we don't get enough rain.
Okay.
So although we get 1,500, 1,800 millimeters, the rainfall is not sufficient during some months. So therefore, rainwater harvesting, because the rain, if we can collect that rain when there is rain, and if we collect that rain, it can be collected in different ways. As Sanuja said, it can be collected in large containers, vessels,
right,
or it can be even collected in the soil, in the ground. Right. That is rainwater can be collected there.
Right.
So that way we can collect that water and can be used during dry periods.
Right.
Now, in fact, right now there is a drought in, as you know, in some parts of Sri Lanka. So people have to go in search of water, especially the women. They are the people who have to go to collect water, so they waste a lot of time.
Right.
So having these rainwater tanks in the household, in the garden itself, then you don't have to, these women don't have to go.
True. That's an advantage for them. So okay, now we're speaking about this for everyday homes, rainwater harvesting. Is it possible to harvest water for a workplace, for an office?
Yeah, certainly, because workplace and offices has huge roofs. Certainly, and also big water usage as well, especially for washing, gardening, toilet flushing, etc. So ideal place to collect rainwater, really. And in the long run, if you can reduce the water bill as well, because you pay for water.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay, so if I say I was to collect rainwater, how much can this system collect? How much of rainwater can this can I accumulate?
It depends on where you are living. If you are in the dry zone area, then you need a bigger tank, because there is long period of no rain. So you need to store more water. So in dry zone households, we construct about 8,000 liter tanks. In the wet zone area, because it rains more often, you don't need to have such a bigger storage. So you can go for 5,000 or 3,000 to 5,000 liter tanks. Anywhere in Sri Lanka, you can collect rainwater and use for your daily needs. So as Professor says, we have quite a lot of rain, but is effectively using it and collecting.
True indeed. Okay, let's take into consideration about, like, is it possible if I have a home right now, existing home, and I wanted to upgrade it, I wanted to have rainwater in my household, but would this only apply for if you make a new house, and then you could like apply all these techniques into getting the rainwater, or is old houses, can you like have these I would call them utensils to collect the rainwater?
Both, really. I mean, it is cheaper to install it at the planning stage. Retrofitting is a little bit more expensive, but any place you can have it. But you can, if you plan ahead before you construct the house, then you can incorporate the system into your house. So that makes it little less expensive. But both is possible. Actually, there is a legislation also. If you are building a new house above a roof area, you, especially in urban areas, you have to have a rainwater harvesting plan as of regulations brought into effect from 2009.
Okay. Now you said that you usually have it on the roof,
Yeah.
or also on an underground tank?
No, the storage has to be below the roof because
Right.
you are collecting the rainwater from the roof.
Right. Okay.
But you can have it above ground or underground.
Okay.
So if you go underground, you have to pump the water up.
Oh, right.
But if you have above ground, we can use gravity to
Right.
take
Is
the water.
like you can only collect the water in Sri Lanka by yourself? That's in your own home. Is the roof the only method of collecting? What are the other methods of collecting?
Not only, I mean, you can use parking areas or paved surfaces.
Right.
So quality can differ depending on the catchment area you are using, or even some from runoff from the soil. But that type of water you can only use for maybe gardening purposes and washing purposes,
Right.
because it will have some silt and things like that. But roof is the best, cleanest place you can have in your home.
Right. So your recommendation is to have it on your roof.
Yes.
Doctor, can I ask you this? Do you have one of these rain collecting systems in your home?
Yes.
You do?
Not this large scale one.
Okay.
So, because when it rains, if you keep a bucket, then you collect rainwater. That
The simple method.
Yeah, that's a
yes,
simple-
of course.
because you see, it's not that it's very expensive, but then there's some capital involved.
Right.
It costs about 40 to 50,000 to construct a tank.
Okay.
So because rainwater, because water is available on the tap, there is no point in, in our case, there is no point in spending so much. But then for people who do not have enough water, I think this is a very good alternative.
Right.
Another point which, as Dr. Aryananda said, this collecting rainwater has advantage of using it in cultivating crops. Because the government is promoting home gardening.
Right.
So for home gardening, if you have this tank, and during dry periods, if there is water, if water can be collected, then that water can be used for cultivating of various crops, which can be used in the household.
Right. What are the other advantages that we can get from collecting our own rainwater?
There's
Apart from what
another
you
big
mentioned?
advantage is that, as you know, in some parts of Sri Lanka, especially in the north central province, there's a disease called chronic renal failure.
Okay.
Or kidney disease, chronic kidney disease, and that is attributed to some material. It can be element or some molecules or some compound in the water. So people who drink that water tend to get this disease. Now that water is collected either from tube wells or from wells or from tanks and so on. But if they collect rainwater, rainwater is the most pure form of water.
Right.
That is H2O.
Right.
If you get it from the soil, it has all types of elements in that soil,
Yeah.
in that water.
Yeah.
It can be cadmium or arsenate, so agrochemicals and so on. So if they collect rainwater and drink that instead of getting water from the wells, then it will reduce this disease.
Right.
Control. It will have an effect on the spreading of this disease.
Right.
That is one big advantage.
Yeah. That's a really good point that you brought up. Now, you mentioned that how much does it cost, Ms. Aryananda? How much does it cost to have these installed in your homes?
It can vary depending on the size of the vessel.
Right.
It can vary from about 10,000 rupees to about 50-60 for a normal household.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you call this, before we go into a break, I just want to ask you, would you call this an investment in your future? Can the money that you paid for this be recovered in the long run?
Certainly, because we pay for water, and we pay at different levels. Like say, if you're a higher user, beyond 20 units, you pay the cost.
Right.
So if you bring your usage down by supplementing your system with rainwater harvesting, then you bring down, you are in a lower band for paying the water rates.
Of course.
So that means you are paying less.
Okay.
So within 2-3 years you should be able to recover your cost.
Because now the water bills are going up.